I counted the seats at the Christmas table when I was 7 years old. There was always exactly one too few, and by age 7, I already knew that missing seat was meant for me. My name is Petra Alburn. I'm 39 years old, and this is the story of every Christmas I stood on the sidelines, and the one Christmas my family tried to force their way into my new life. After excluding me for 2 decades, my mother Ingeborg always kept a clear hierarchy in our family. My younger brother Sebastian was the easy child, cheerful, uncomplicated, easy to love. I, on the other hand, had been called difficult for as long as I could remember, though no one could ever explain what exactly was difficult about me, other than that I asked questions my mother didn't want to answer. Every Christmas, the same long oak table was set, for my parents, for Sebastian, for grandparents, for aunts and uncles. For me, there was almost always a smaller table in the kitchen, under the pretext that the big table was already full, though I later calculated as an adult that there had been plenty of room, if anyone had simply wanted there to be. I left my parents' house at 18, right after finishing school. I saved every dollar from a part-time job as a waitress and moved into a tiny one-room apartment, far from my hometown. No one tried to stop me. My mother only said, "Call when you get there," and that was the entire goodbye. I built my own life over the years. I worked hard, studied business administration part-time, and eventually founded my own small company for sustainable packaging solutions. There were years of financial uncertainty, but by 35 I had a profitable business with 12 employees. During those years, my brother Sebastian got everything I never had. When he wanted to open his own restaurant at 22, my parents gave him their entire savings as startup capital. The restaurant failed within 2 years, and my parents quietly covered the resulting debt, without a single word of reproach. I mostly heard about all of this through my cousin Anna, who occasionally passed along family news. "Your parents bailed Sebastian out again," she told me once on the phone, almost in passing, as if it were the most normal thing in the world. The real break happened a year ago, in November. Sebastian had by then had a second failed business, a cafe this time, and was in debt to a loan shark, after the banks had stopped extending him any more credit. My parents, who had by then put up their own house as collateral for an earlier loan to Sebastian, were on the verge of foreclosure. My mother called me on a rainy Tuesday evening. We'd barely spoken in almost 2 years. Her voice was full of panic, completely unlike the cool, distant manner I'd grown used to since childhood. "Petra, you have to help us. Sebastian made terrible mistakes. We need $65,000 immediately, or we lose the house." I sat quietly and felt an old, familiar coldness rising in me. I didn't even ask for details. I already knew what had happened. "No," I finally said quietly. "How can you be so selfish?" My mother screamed, and the desperation in her voice instantly turned into the same cold anger I'd felt my entire life. "He's your brother." I hung up. I thought that would be the end of it. But I had underestimated the desperation of people who had believed their entire lives that everything was owed to them. 3 weeks later, on Christmas Eve, I sat in my own house, the one I'd built through my own hard work. At exactly 9 o'clock, headlights suddenly lit up my driveway. A car stopped in front of my house. I walked to the window and saw my parents and Sebastian, along with a man I didn't recognize, carrying a tool bag. I understood immediately what they were planning. My cousin had told me days earlier that Sebastian had found out I wouldn't be traveling over the holidays. They'd planned to break into my house, confront me, and pressure me until I gave in. I'd already had my security system professionally upgraded months earlier. After dealing with cases of break-ins at business owners' properties through my work, all the doors were locked, the cameras were running, and I'd already quietly alerted the police 10 minutes earlier. As soon as I noticed the headlights in my driveway, I didn't open the door. I watched from upstairs as my mother hysterically talked at the arriving police officers, as my father crumpled in on himself, and as Sebastian tried to break free once he realized the situation was completely out of control. "Petra," my mother screamed up at my window, "tell these officers this is a misunderstanding. Your brother just needs your help." I didn't feel a single spark of pity, only a deep, liberating calm. "There's no misunderstanding, officer," I called down through the intercom. "I've reported these people for attempted breaking and entering. Please remove them from my property. They were taken away." In the weeks that followed, I received several letters from my mother, full of half apologies and justifications. To this day, I haven't responded. The next morning, I changed every single lock on my house. This year, On Christmas Eve, for the first time in my life, I set a table with exactly 12 seats, each one deliberately filled with friends, colleagues, people who had actually been there for me when it mattered. For 20 years, I believed that belonging was something my family could grant or deny me. That night, I finally understood. Belonging was never something they could give me or take away. It was a table that, in the end, I had set for myself, all on my own.